What's up, family? It's Jay, Mr. Real Estate Morrison, and I'm here with my younger little brother, Art Morrison. He's a professional basketball player as well as the CEO and owner of Above Maximum Sports Training. Right?
Right.
So, bro, tell me a little bit just about yourself. And so, bro is obviously I'm Mr. Real Estate, his older brother, and so although he's a professional ball player and entrepreneur, he also wants to start building his real estate empire. Because why not level up, right? So go ahead, bro. Just tell them a little bit about what you a little bit, and then what we were talking about earlier today.
Okay. You put me on the spot. Art Morrison started my company about a year and a half ago when I came back from playing ball overseas. Looking to invest some capital into real estate because it obviously makes sense, being that my older brother is that guy. Let's see. So my question I have for my brother is that, okay, so if I could contract a property for, let's say for easy numbers, $100,000,
Right.
do I have the liberty to, I guess, take that contract to an investor for, as much as I wanted to, or, how does that process work?
All right. So this process is called wholesaling real estate, right? And the way it works is like this: when you become a real estate investor, right? So here's Art, right? He's come back from overseas. He got his ball thing going, right? Cool. And Art wants to also invest in real estate on the side using some of his capital, or maybe he doesn't even want to use his money. He wants to use his knowledge that he's learning from his brother, and he wants to make money on real estate without, any of his own cash or any of his own capital. So there's one way we teach it for real estate developers, and I'm going to be teaching that this Wednesday in Atlanta. This is a simple model for those who are beginning as investor wholesalers, right? It's a little different than being a developer, but there's two ways to make money in real estate with no cash or credit. Here's one, right? So this way, as Art was saying, is that he would find a property, an investment property, or it could be a single family home, multi-family home, whatever, but a property that made sense, and I'll talk about that in a second. He would contract that property. So what he's asking me is, can he then send this contract to myself or other investors without money, and could he make a check for what we call assigning the contract, right? So Art would make, just say, $5 grand, 10 grand, or it could be even 40 grand, right? However much off this check, off assigning this contract for a fee to these developers or these investors because it makes sense to them. Or it could be even home buyers, not even an investor, somebody who just wants to buy a house. So bro, what I was saying to you is, yes, the answer to your question is yes, you could assign a contract for $1 million, literally, right? For any amount of money that investors are willing to pay to take over the right to your contract. Because when you contract it, all it's saying is that you have the purchase rights to the property, right? So now you're transferring those purchase rights over to the investor for a fee.
Right.
But here's a deal. When you go into this the right way, the J way, the way we teach our students is there's two ways an investor is going to buy the property. So you might have a homeowner who will pay money for the contract. That's less than likely, but it could happen. But you're going to either get an investor who's a flipper, right? An investor that wants to flip the property, or an investor that's a renter who's a landlord, right? So when I say renter, I'm literally meaning landlord, or lord of the land. And then you got your flipper. These are two kinds of investors. So each one of these investors looks at a different formula for why a property makes sense to them, right? So if a house flipper, right, somebody just buys real estate and flips it, their strategy is totally different than somebody that's buying real estate and renting it.
Correct.
There's two different numbers and return on investments you're looking for. So the house flipper, what they want to make sure, and what we teach is that basically, if you're paying $100,000 for this house, and the house needs, say, $20,000 worth of work, right? Or maybe it needs no work, whatever that may be. But say you're in for $120,000, right? This is what we call your all-in cost. The house flipper wants this number to be at 65% of whatever the house is worth. So if the house is worth, just say, $160,000, right? This is what we call the after repair value, right? What it's worth after the repairs. So what you do is, you got a phone or a calculator on you? If not, you use mine. I think I got a calculator on here. Go, you can find it. So there's a formula in which we divide this all-in cost by this after repair value, and it gives us a decimal. That's our percentage. So you got that, 120,000 divided by 160,000.
That's 75%.
75%, right? So 0.75 it comes to, we moved the decimal over 2 spaces, and now we got 75%. So as a house flipper, you typically want to be between 65% and 77% depending on the market. So this would be still a good deal, but it's bordering not being a good deal. The closer to 65 or under, the better the deal for a house flipper. Because you want to make sure there's a certain amount of equity there, that's your cushion, so you don't screw up, right? Now, for somebody that's renting a property, they care less about the equity in the property and more what they care about is the return on the investment at the end of the year. So the way a renter looks at it, they look at it, this is a 2-family, you're getting $1,000 per unit, each unit, right? So that's $2,000 a month you'll be getting. So $2,000 a month is $24,000 for the year of gross rental income, right? That's what they'll be looking at, is the gross rental income. And then you'll subtract like management fees, utilities, taxes, insurances. So say all those things come to $5,000, right? And expenses. So now your net profit for the year is $19,000, which you actually would make on this property as an investor, right? So if the same property costs me $120 to be all in, $120,000, right, to be all in, that's with repairs and renovations. They're not so much caring about the after repair value as a home renter, right, as a landlord. What you care about is the ROI on your money. So you're spending $120,000, but you're making $19,000 a year in rental income. So now what you're going to divide $19,000 by $120,000.
And you get 15.8%.
All right, so you get 0.158,
Right.
which means, moved over twice, 15.8%. So what this says to a house renter is that your return on your investment is 15.8% on your money. If you spent $120 of your 401k, of your pension, of your savings, and you put it into this house and fixed it up and made this rental income, you can make it 15.8% of your money.
What percent do they want? What would be?
Well, you got to figure out where else could you park your money. So a CD in the bank, if you get a 3-year CD, you're getting 3%. If you get your average mutual fund or stock, you're getting about, right with a mutual fund, you're teetering at 5% on your money.
So 15.8% is pretty damn good.
Half of 15.8% is pretty damn good.
Right.
And so that's how we, as real estate investors, are able to sell real estate to investors. I'm not selling you the real estate. It's not emotions. I'm not selling you because it's a pretty house with a nice roof and picket fence. What I'm selling you is the numbers make sense on the investment.
So back to the beginning, how do I use all this to decide what I want to approach the investor with, what number I want to approach them with?
Right. Well, you know you want to create a win-win situation between you and that investor.
Right.
Right? So you got to figure out, all right, if I can get this house for 100 and it needs 120, how much can I assign this contract for where it makes sense for me and my business model, but where it still makes sense for this investor, right? So maybe on the rental side, you're like, you know what, 15.8 is pretty good. I probably can charge $5,000 on this 120, right? So now they're in for 125, right? So now do those numbers, 19,000 divided by 125.
$15.2%.
Okay, so you can charge $5,000 on this deal
And they still
and assign this contract, and they're still in it for 15.2%. So now you might be able to up that $5,000 to another $5,000 on the deal.
Right.
And now you make $10,000 on your contract because it might only be at this point 14.8%. So you can charge whatever makes sense for that investor, but still makes sense for you. Now charging $5,000 or $10,000 more on this might not make as much sense on a flip because you're already teetering 77%, our maximum.
Right.
So let's do that real quick. Let's say we charge $5,000, right, on for a fee for the contract. So now this all-in cost is $125. So now you do $125,000 divided by $160,000, your ARV after repair value.
78%.
78%. So $5,000 makes a big damn deal when it comes to for a house flipper. Now it's starting not to make sense for me. It's pushing it.
Now,
But
so would you want to change up your numbers, or would you just want to?
It's business. So you can change your fee, or you can negotiate your acquisition costs down and negotiate, get a lower number from your seller you're contracting with,
Right.
and leverage them, or you can be more aggressive with your buyer or anything in between.
Got it.
Whatever makes sense. So this is a quick lesson on how you actually can make money in real estate assigning contracts to either investors who are landlords or house flippers who are building or house renters who are building a portfolio, or to house flippers, right? Investor flippers who are just want to flip properties. Or this could be you one day learning our strategies on how to get private financing, conventional financing, hard money, or other kind of creative financing to close your own deals. That's a whole other lesson. But this is a simple tactic for you. This is one way to make money in real estate without cash or credit. This Wednesday in Atlanta, I'm teaching a whole different way that nobody shows. It's the secret. So, bro, thank you, love you.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to him building his portfolio as he builds his business as an entrepreneur, as a professional athlete, and just leveling up, taking it to the next level. Peace.